It often begins quietly, a little more fatigue than usual, skin that doesn't quite bounce back. Forgetting a name, not just once, but more often. These are not dramatic changes, they're not always painful, but they whisper something many seniors hesitate to hear. Your body might be aging faster than it should. And here's the truth. Most doctors don't say out loud, accelerated aging is not inevitable. In fact, it often has early signs. Subtle clues the body gives us long before chronic illness arrives. And if we learn to listen, we can slow it, even reverse parts of it. That's not wishful thinking. It's elderly wisdom, grounded in research and real stories of people over 65 across Europe and North America who changed their diets, adjusted their habits, and gave time back to their bodies. In this episode, we'll explore 5 silent signs of accelerated aging and the specific foods that can counteract each one. You'll hear true stories, real quotes, practical shifts that helped seniors feel sharper, stronger, and more alive. Let's start this journey with open eyes and a little inspiration, because your age doesn't define your energy. Your habits do. If this resonates with you, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. We share senior health, motivation, and life lessons from the elderly every week. The first silent sign that your body is aging faster than it should is chronic morning stiffness, when every step out of bed feels like dragging concrete blocks. It doesn't announce itself loudly, it simply lingers, and gradually it robs your mornings of ease. This was the case for Margaret, 68, a retired librarian in Cork, Ireland. At first, I blamed the mattress, she chuckled. Then I blamed the cold. But no new bed or extra blanket helped. What Margaret was experiencing wasn't just discomfort. It was systemic low-grade inflammation, a hallmark of premature biological aging. When we talk about inflammation, most people think of swelling or redness. But inflammaging, a term coined by researchers, is something different. It's the silent buildup of inflammatory markers in the body due to stress, poor sleep, refined sugars, and even loneliness. Over time, these molecules like C-reactive protein, CRP, and interleukin-6, IL-6, begin to damage tissues from the inside out, especially in joints and blood vessels. The result? Pain, stiffness, slower healing, and accelerated biological wear. Margaret's blood work confirmed this: elevated CRP, borderline insulin resistance, and declining vitamin D. Her physician didn't prescribe pills. Instead, he suggested food as medicine: turmeric, ginger, and black pepper, 3 anti-inflammatory powerhouses known to work synergistically. The curcumin in turmeric has been shown in multiple clinical trials to reduce CRP and TNF-alpha, key culprits in joint degeneration. But curcumin alone isn't well absorbed. That's where black pepper comes in. Its compound piperine increases curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%. Margaret began her day with a warm oat porridge mixed with turmeric, cinnamon, and a pinch of black pepper, followed by green tea with lemon. It became a ritual, she said. Within weeks, the weight in my legs lifted. But it wasn't just spices. She removed processed carbs and began favoring wild fatty fish like mackerel and sardines, rich in omega-3s EPA and DHA, known to regulate the balance between pro- and anti-inflammatory eicosanoids in the body. Combined with leafy greens like kale and spinach, rich in antioxidants and magnesium, Margaret created a breakfast plate that gently fought back against aging each morning. "It's like my body was waiting for the right instructions," she said. Indeed, recent research from the Journals of Gerontology suggests that a Mediterranean-style breakfast, high in phytonutrients and healthy fats, is associated with lower biological age scores in adults over 65. The second sign is more subtle, but just as telling: loss of skin elasticity and radiance. Joseph, 72, a former tailor from Salzburg, didn't complain of pain, but one day, as he was shaving, he paused. The face looking back at me wasn't tired. It was faded, he said. Skin, after all, is our largest organ, and one of the most visible indicators of inner health. When collagen production slows and oxidative stress increases, skin becomes dry, dull, and creased. What most don't realize is this is often not just from aging, but from glycation and lack of antioxidants. Glycation happens when excess sugar binds to proteins like collagen and elastin, making them stiff and prone to breakage. The result? Sagging, wrinkles, and skin that won't bounce back. Joseph's diet had long included white bread, jam, and fruit juice, classic high glycemic foods that spike blood sugar and accelerate skin aging. After speaking with a dermatologist who specialized in nutrition, he overhauled his breakfast: berries, walnuts, olive oil drizzled tomatoes, and soft-boiled eggs. Berries like blueberries and blackcurrants are rich in anthocyanins, which neutralize free radicals and protect blood vessels, helping skin retain its glow. Walnuts offer alpha-linolenic acid, ALA, a plant-based omega-3 that supports cell membrane integrity. He also incorporated tomatoes not for taste, but for lycopene, a carotenoid shown to reduce skin roughness and UV damage. Within 6 weeks, Joseph said something unexpected happened. People asked me if I'd been away on holiday. His skin tone evened out, his eyes brightened, and more importantly, he felt visible again. In clinical studies, diets rich in antioxidants like vitamin C and E, selenium, and polyphenols have been shown to slow skin aging by preserving mitochondrial health and reducing collagen degradation. It wasn't vanity, it was vitality. For both Margaret and Joseph, the foods they chose weren't just ingredients. They were signals, instructions to their bodies to repair, to slow down the internal clock, to reclaim the energy and elasticity that seemed lost. And in doing so, they rediscovered a version of themselves that felt familiar, strong, and still alive with potential. The third sign is unexpected and often dismissed as clumsiness, frequent bruising, and slow wound healing. For many seniors, a small bump leaves a mark that lasts weeks. A scrape takes unusually long to close. That was the reality for Eleanor, 70, a retired piano teacher from Manchester. I barely tapped the counter and had a bruise the size of a plum, she recalled. And that paper cut? It lingered like it had been stitched with forgetfulness. Her doctor explained it wasn't just thin skin, it was vascular fragility combined with reduced collagen production and micronutrient deficiency. Capillaries weaken with age, especially when antioxidants like vitamin C and bioflavonoids are missing. Eleanor's blood work showed low vitamin C and zinc, both crucial for tissue repair and immune response. Instead of creams, she was prescribed a change in diet, colourful, dense, and healing. She started her day with a citrus and kiwi smoothie, loaded with vitamin C along with papaya and parsley. Lunches included bell peppers, red cabbage, and cooked tomatoes for lycopene. Dinners featured bone broth soups and stews made with garlic, onions, and leafy greens. But her favourite remedy? A small daily bowl of blueberries and pomegranate seeds, which provide ellagic acid and anthocyanins, compounds that reinforce capillary strength and support circulation. Within weeks, Eleanor noticed her skin felt firmer, her bruises faded faster, and that scratch from pruning her roses. Healed before I could even remember it was there, she smiled. This too was a message from within. Healing isn't just about the immune system. It's about circulation, repair, and the quiet building blocks that hold us together, one cell at a time. The fourth sign that you're aging too fast isn't always pain. Sometimes it's the quiet frustration of weakness, sarcopenia. It's not a word many seniors know, but it's a condition nearly every person over 65 feels creeping in. Muscle loss, gradual, relentless, invisible at first, Then one day you realize lifting a laundry basket feels harder, getting off the couch takes more effort, your steps are shorter, your reach less steady. Harold, 74, from Ontario, never saw himself as fragile. I worked in construction for 40 years, he said. Strength was my language. But retirement brought slower mornings, longer sitting, smaller movements. And then the fall. I tripped over my own feet getting out of bed. That moment wasn't just a stumble, it was a wake-up call. His doctor explained, after 60, you lose up to 8% of your muscle mass every decade, and even more if you're inactive. For Harold, it was worse. Sarcopenia had already weakened his thighs and back muscles. At first he thought strength meant weights. I imagined gyms, mirrors, heavy bars. But the truth was simpler and smarter. His doctor introduced him to anabolic resistance. As you age, your body becomes less responsive to protein, so you need more of it, more often, and from quality sources. They built a routine, 25-30 grams of protein per meal, including eggs, Greek yogurt, lentils, and wild salmon. More importantly, they spread it out, because for seniors, cramming protein into one dinner doesn't work. Breakfast became my power hour, Harold grinned. 3 eggs, spinach, and a smoothie. I stopped skipping meals. I started fueling my strength. But nutrition was only half the solution. The other half, movement. Not marathons, not bench presses, just purposeful daily resistance. Chair squats, wall push-ups, heel raises by the kitchen sink, 10 minutes each morning, then walking the block, then stairs. His first 2 weeks were humbling. I felt old, he admitted, but then something shifted. I woke up one morning and my legs didn't argue when I stood. That was the moment, the J-curve's turning point. Recent studies confirm that seniors combining resistance exercise with 1.2-1.5 g of protein per kg of body weight not only stop muscle loss, they rebuild. Muscle is not gone forever. It just needs the right invitation. And when it returns, so does dignity. Harold's posture improved. His gait steadied. He stopped avoiding escalators. It wasn't about looking young, he said. It was about not feeling like I was made of glass. Then came his proudest moment, picking up his 4-year-old grandson, who ran into his arms at the park. He used to stop before jumping, not anymore. That's not just muscle, that's motivation, that's elderly wisdom in action. The 5th sign is far quieter, but just as life-altering, a weakened immune system. When you're 30, a cold is a nuisance. At 70, it can spiral. Carmen, 69, from New Jersey, didn't feel sick, but she didn't feel well either. Every few weeks, a UTI, then a sore throat, then a stomach bug. I was always getting over something, she said. Antibiotics became routine, so did fatigue. Her immune system wasn't alert, it was exhausted. She saw a nutritionist who asked one powerful question: what are you feeding your army? Because immunity is a system. And every cell in that system, from T cells to natural killer cells, needs fuel, not just calories, nutrients. Carmen's food diary shocked her. Toast, juice, instant oatmeal, crackers, barely 10 grams of protein in a day, no zinc, no probiotics. I thought I was eating light, she said. Turns out I was eating empty. Carmen didn't rebuild her immunity through willpower. She rebuilt it through mornings. Every day began not with toast or cereal, but with a warm bowl of miso soup. Silken tofu floated gently beside strands of seaweed, while a soft-boiled egg sat nestled beside her teacup. She seasoned it with turmeric and fresh ginger, not just for taste, but because she knew these were old remedies, backed by modern science. Miso brought fermented probiotics. Seaweed offered iodine and prebiotic fibers. And the act itself, quiet, savory, grounding, was medicine in ritual form. It felt like I was waking my body with care, she said. As her mornings became more intentional, so did her gut. Carmen began feeding the inside army she had neglected for years. Out went the crackers and instant snacks. In came sauerkraut, kimchi, and plain kefir with pumpkin seeds. She added garlic to nearly every dish, chopped and left to sit for 10 minutes before cooking to activate its allicin, a natural antibacterial. She sprinkled flaxseed into her yogurt. Her digestion changed. The bloat vanished. She felt, in her words, clear in my core. It wasn't magic. It was the result of reintroducing bacterial allies and diverse fibers, what microbiologists call feeding the soil of the gut. By evening, Carmen had built her third rhythm, a plate that wasn't just dinner, but a kind of evening repair. She cooked roasted garlic chicken with turmeric-spiced quinoa, steamed greens, and mushrooms like shiitake and maitake, fungi praised for their beta-glucans and immune-supporting properties. She sipped bone broth instead of wine. A mug with lemon and honey replaced dessert. It felt like I was closing the day with something that gave back, she said. These were not diet foods. They were nourishing affirmations. And as they entered her bloodstream, her immune system responded, not with fireworks, but with steadiness. No more sick days, no more almost infections, just a sense that her body, once so fragile, had begun to hold itself again. There's a transition point where change stops being a project and becomes something deeper, something you are. It's not about motivation anymore. It's about quiet repetition. A walk that doesn't feel like a workout but like coming home. A cup of broth that doesn't just warm the body but restores a memory. This is the moment when rituals, small and steady, begin to shape identity. And it's here, beyond the fear of aging too fast, that real life begins to feel rooted again. That's exactly how Harold began to see his mornings. What started as rehab-like squats and a doctor's suggestion soon became a sacred rhythm. No alarm clock needed. His body knew the hour. Each movement, squat, push-up, stretch, was no longer an exercise. It was a quiet conversation with his past strength and future freedom. Above his yoga mat, he'd pinned a single line. You don't have to feel young to move like you still belong here. It was no longer about regaining youth. It was about reclaiming space in his own skin. When Carmen sipped her broth in the morning, she sat by her kitchen window, no phone, no rush. She listened, birds, kettle, her own breath. That was her strength training. She fed her gut with care, yogurt and berries for breakfast, fermented cabbage at lunch, rich soup with shiitake mushrooms for dinner. She didn't chase energy, she rebuilt it, one spoonful at a time, and something else happened, something she hadn't planned. Others joined her, Nora from next door, Beth with the cane, Hannah, the quiet one. They started walking after lunch, not fast, just together, sharing silence, soup, and stories. Carmen called it her immunity loop, not because it boosted her white blood cells, though it probably did, but because it reminded her that healing happens faster when you're not alone. Not far away, Margaret found her own ritual in a garden of pots. She wasn't a farmer, just a woman who needed something to tend to. Turmeric, rosemary, thyme, basil that she whispered to. Mornings with dirt under her nails gave her something to believe in. When she brewed tea from her own leaves and drank it with turmeric oatmeal, she felt not old, but ancestral, like she was part of something deep and growing. Others journaled. Ingrid, who once forgot a word in her own language, wrote nightly. 3 things her body had done well that day. My knees held steady. I remembered the mail. I laughed with my neighbour. Small things, but powerful. She said, I don't just track my days, I thank them. And in that ritual of writing, she found not only memory, but meaning. And maybe that's the quiet truth of aging well. It's not just about what you do, it's about what you return to, daily, gently, without punishment, without needing applause. These men and women scattered across Europe and America built a life of resilience not through willpower, but through rhythm. So if you're wondering where to begin, don't start with goals. Start with one act of respect, a warm bowl, a 10-minute walk, one extra serving of greens, a quiet quote on your mirror. These aren't health hacks, these are invitations. To step back into your body, to say to yourself, I still live here and I still matter. That's how Harold stood taller. That's how Carmen stopped fearing the seasons. That's how Ingrid found her words again. They didn't fight aging, they befriended it, one choice at a time. That's not theory, that's elderly wisdom. And maybe, as you finish this part of the story, you'll feel the same gentle pull, not to change everything, but to choose something, to reflect, to begin, and to trust that your own loop of strength and stillness is waiting for you to step into it, just once more and then again tomorrow. Aging too fast doesn't start with disease, it starts with silence, a stiffness you ignore, a brain fog you laugh off, a cold that lasts too long. But the beauty of listening, truly listening to your body, is that even the smallest adjustments can lead to the deepest healing. You don't need to chase youth. You need to honor your age with the nourishment, movement, and care it deserves. Today, we met Harold and Carmen. Not superheroes, not exceptions, but reflections of what's possible when you respond to your body's whispers. They didn't make radical changes. They made consistent ones. They turned meals into medicine, rituals into resilience, and days into a life that feels steady, strong, and still unfolding. This is what elderly wisdom sounds like. It doesn't shout, it reminds. And perhaps it's reminding you now, you are not too late. You are not too far gone. You are just one kind choice away from a better rhythm. If this video spoke to something inside you, let it be the beginning of your own reflection. Try one habit, repeat it gently, watch what unfolds. And if this brought you inspiration, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone you care about. Tap the bell so you never miss a new story on senior health, motivation, and life lessons from the elderly. And now, tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? His meals followed the same simplicity. A plate wasn't just food, it was a reminder of everything he was still capable of. Each bite of Greek yogurt with almonds and blueberries wasn't just protein and antioxidants, it was a promise that he was still in charge, that he still had a say. Even the way he chose his dinner changed, colourful, steady, always with protein. Even on takeout nights, he added intention, boiled eggs, mixed greens, a scoop of extra protein. That's not dieting, that's dignity. Across the ocean, Carmen was building a different kind of ritual. Her healing didn't come from lifting her body, but from infusing it. Her Sunday broth wasn't a recipe, it was devotion, the act of peeling garlic slowly, the way turmeric stained her fingertips, the bubbling of bones in a pot. It was almost spiritual. I don't make soup, she said once. I make peace. And that peace sat in jars on her shelves, ready to carry her through the week, not just against illness, but against isolation.